All right, hello everyone. My name is Rich Romanek. I'm the Director of Sales here at NuAIg. On behalf of my team, we greatly appreciate you all joining us today. And today in our presentation on transforming the aging industry with artificial intelligence, once again, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. We'll be discussing how automation is helping internal and external stakeholders across lines of business in a series of 6 webinars. Today is the focus on admissions and move-ins. At the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A. Feel free to post your questions. So again, our session today is titled Streamline Resident Admissions, Achieve 80% Efficiency Gain and Boost Occupancy with Automation. So we will be discussing the 4 bullets here, current scenario in resident admissions, about robotic process automation, automation use cases, and the benefits of automation in admissions. So before we begin, I'd like to give you just a short little overview who NuAIg is. NuAIg, for the last couple of years, has been focused on long-term providers and has mapped over 100 plus process workflows with automation potential and the highest ROI. As you can see below on the screen, here are a few of our clients. So as I mentioned, we've mapped over 100 plus process across lines of business, specific to long-term and post-acute care and continuing care retirement communities. So you can see in the left on the blackened part, that's what we're going to be going over today. And as you can see, our future webinars will be on human resources, operations, finance, accounting, housing and homeworks, and clinical. And these are some of the processes that we have done. So with that, I thank you, and I would like to hand it over to Jody right now. Jody?
Sure. Thanks, Rich. And hi, everyone. So to begin with the webinar, I would like to talk about the current situation of admissions in the senior living industry itself. So as soon as the resident shows an interest in taking admission into your community, he or she is required to fill up multiple forms. A lot of follow-ups also takes place until all the information and forms are finally submitted in your community. These forms on submission have to be manually evaluated and verified by the employees at your community. Not only this, but employees also have to follow up and get approvals across departments, update software systems manually with the collected information across these physical forms that they have received. There's a lot of back and forth happens, resulting in time delays, confusion, miscommunication, and human errors. And according to an industry report, there is an average 63% of the workforce which are occupied with all this manual data entry tasks. And almost 40% of the workers spend roughly 10 hours per week on this repetitive task. Let's take a step ahead in understanding why is this actually happening across in the industry and why it's such a major issue. So on screen, you can see a lot of software, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you would be using a few of these across in your communities as well. The biggest challenge the industry is facing today is that of interoperability. These softwares do not talk to each other and they work in isolation, thus forcing your workforce to do the data pushing across these systems. If you see the leftmost corner on the slide itself, it's from this end that the information starts coming into the system. It's as soon as the resident shows an interest in taking an admission into your community, the information about the resident starts coming in. And it's this information that has to be captured across all these softwares. Thus, a major area where your staff is putting multiple hours of efforts in maintaining the records, and an area where automation is helping providers like you to build a better place for your residents and your employees. But automation or robotic process automation can itself seems to be a very intimidating term in itself. So just imagine these bots as your virtual assistants or the digital workforce that would be sitting at the back end or at the background of your system and are capable of reading through the different paper forms, PDFs, or the digital forms and the reports that are there and can push the data across these systems. These are capable of taking all those mundane and repetitive tasks that we were just talking about and thus meeting the pain point of the interoperability. To give you a more flavor on what exactly the capabilities of these robotic process automation or these virtual bots is, I would like to play a very small video.
Robotic Process Automation or RPA is the adoption of software bots or digital workers that maps the process flow and mimic human actions to do repetitive tasks like copying, pasting information from physical forms or PDFs, Excel's reports, digital forms etc. verifies and records data into EMRs and other software and much more. Thus providing digital assistance to your existing employees to take up all mundane, repetitive things and letting your human workforce focus on valuable tasks. Here is a sample video of RPA bot entering new resident data into PCC. Bots read the data from scanned documents or digital forms and uploads it into your EMR within seconds. This is all done at lightning fast speed, with 100% accuracy with RPA bots that are scalable, compliant and secure.
So I hope with this video you got a bit of clarity on how these RPA bots are actually functioning. So at the end of the video, you were able to see that the information was being read from the forms that the resident actually gave to the community and was pushed into the EMR. That was being done by a bot, and it was the speed at which it was done. It was very fast, and that is at which these bots actually work, thus reducing the number of days your employees are putting in to make sure the information is captured across these systems into just a few minutes. That is the speed at which these bots actually work.
Robotic process automation.
Taking a step ahead, let's see how a few of the processes during the admission of a resident takes place in the current scenario in a senior living community. So the first process that we have on the screen is of the confidential financial form and the validation. So in the current system, as soon as a resident shows interest in taking admission into a community, that couple of documents are given to him. And one of that document is the confidential financial form, where he actually enters all the information with respect to his finances. And the employee in your admission department would then read through all these all the information in this confidential form. He will go onto the websites like Zillow and ensure and check the information that is given on the form. If the information regarding the property meets the validation criteria that is set for the community. If it does meet the criteria, the admission process moves on and the information is also recorded in softwares like Finid. But if in case it does not meet the criteria, your employees have to go ahead and recheck with the resident again regarding the information, or would have to terminate the process of taking forward the application itself because it's not meeting their criteria. Another important step that occurs while admitting a resident into the community is of the federal screening. So the resident name has to be checked on different websites that comes under the federal screening itself. One of the example that we have is of the sex offender screening on the screen. The other offense screening also takes place, like that of a gun firing or another crime that would have that the person might would have occurred. So his name has to be checked on these websites manually by your employees. They have to go through the list and have to check for the name. And if the name is not there, then only the admission team will go ahead and take the further steps and take the further process for the admission itself. Moving ahead, when the initial screening and checks are all done and the resident deposits the fee for holding the unit at your community, for which the records have to be maintained and the closing documents are given to them, to the resident. So what happens is, with these closing documents, a lot of information is again captured from the end of the resident. That information when comes back to the community in the form of these closing documents, again employees would have to go and have to read through this information from these forms, capture it across all the software ecosystem that we were just talking about, so that before the resident finally comes to the community, his profile, his data is set there in the different software system, fully functional. Now, imagine the whole situation is taking place under the automation and the bots have been deployed. So on screen, what you can see is the unified process under which these all the three disparate processes that we were just talking about have been unified with the help of the automation. So what happens is, as soon as the application is received for taking an admission by the resident, the bot goes ahead and captures the information from these digital forms or maybe the paper-based forms. Bot reads through these forms and performs the financial validation onto the sites like Zillow. Everything is good, meets the criteria. Bot goes ahead, updates the systems like Finit, moves ahead and again moves ahead and checks for the federal screening, as we were just talking about. Now, bot will go onto these websites, check through all the list of the names. If the name is not there, bot goes ahead and sends out the approval to the different departments, asking them to actually give their approval. So for instance, we have it for approval from the CFO. Now, once the CFO fits, the resident is deemed fit, the approval is received. Bot immediately sends across the closing documents to the resident. And once the resident submits these documents, bot fetches every information, updates your EMRs, updates your dining software, updates your resident portal, etc., ensuring that the profile of the resident is actually ready on these different softwares that we have on these on your community. Now consider the scenario where the applicant actually applies and there is no vacancy in your community. In that scenario, the resident is actually waitlisted. So what happens is, as soon as the vacancy occurs, the system triggers and the bot is triggered. The situation is met. The occupancy is there in the system. The bot is triggered, and bot sends out an email to all the waitlisted residents. What happens is, these residents can start sending across their information for getting themselves onboarded, thus ensuring that your waitlisting process is also smooth. Your even admission team is also updated to follow up and to reach out if the waitlisted resident wants to take an admission, ensure and start the onboarding process. Thus ensuring if there is any kind of an occupancy occurring in your community, that could be very sooner filled up with the help of the automated bots, and the delays or the errors could be reduced. Now, talking about the best part in this whole scenario is of the accuracy at which these bots actually function. So the accuracy is always 100% correct. There is no room for error, which we were just talking about. In case of humans, it's likely because of the different paper forms that are being received. So managing and maintaining them could result in the human errors. These bots are actually also available 24 cross 7. So your admission teams might be working for 8 hours of a shift or 9 hours of the shift, but these bots are available 24 cross 7. What happens is that as soon as the information comes in, these bot will be able to capture it and start with the immediate next processes. Whereas there would be delays if the information comes in late at night and the admission teams comes in the morning and then starts with the further process. So there are delays. And also when there are multiple residents to be onboarded, the confusion and the errors also increases and the delays are likely to be there in case of human resources. But with the bots, this all could be reduced. Talking about the scalability of these bots, so if you have planned to increase your community size or to have another community building across in the coming years, these bots are all scalable and can be scaled as they are in your community to the upcoming communities as well without any problem. So thus ensuring the whole system could be unified, could help your employees, existing employee, to make sure that the care for the resident and the whole community could be prepared, could be ready to welcome the resident itself in a much better fashion, and taking care of these redundant and the inefficiencies by these bots itself. So just to summarize and to talk about what we were just being discussing about, that how the automation is helping the industry leaders take up the challenges that we have been facing, especially in admission, the inefficiencies, the redundancies that are there, these all could be reduced. The human errors could be reduced, and especially your human resources could be utilized in a much better fashion. They could be utilized for much more important decision making for much more efficient ways. And their morale could also be boosted because they'll be involved in a much more important decision making. Apart from this, your occupancy rate would increase, as I just mentioned before, and the whole waitlist process could be very seamlessly uh, taken care with the help of the bot. With this, brings me to the almost the end of the presentation that I had for today.
All right, Jody, thank you very much for that. Everybody, so on this slide here is NuAIg. We were at Leading Edge Conference in Denver this past October. We had a nice amount of attendees showing up at our booth. And in the upper right-hand corner is one of our clients and the CEO, where we gave a presentation where there was well over 100 attendees. So with that, I thank everybody. Jody, are there any questions on the chat?
Not yet.
Well, if anybody has any questions, we'll hang here for a minute or two and let us know. With that, we do greatly appreciate your time today. And if you want us to present in greater details, my contact information is rich@nuaig.com. So, I mean, NuAIg.ai. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Chirag, and thank you all for joining in today. We do have a couple of questions coming up. Feel free to push in any thoughts, any questions that you have, right? Okay, so the first question that has come up is around data security aspect of these bots, right? It's a very, very pertinent question. So the beauty of these bots is that these bots are deployed on your network and your virtual machines. And even when we are coding these bots, everything happens on your systems, on your network, and none of the data ever leaves your network. And that's the beauty of these bots and technology, that from security perspective, you are pretty secured in a watertight way, right? The data never leaves your premise, and in that sense these bots are very, very secure. Yeah, the next question is an interesting one. So how do we start with this journey? That's a very interesting question. So all this automation AI, it sounds very fancy and great, but the first question is what should be the first step? How should anyone start this journey? And typically, what we suggest is, first of all, before implementing any technology, it's very important that you and the stakeholders involved understand this technology very well. And we at NuAIg offer complimentary workshops where we do AI RPA 101. We tell you what this technology is about. And since we are working very closely with CCRCs, we understand your nuances and complexities. And that allows us to suggest some of the quick win use cases for automation. And we can also offer complimentary brainstorming sessions and POCs where if you have any use case in mind, we can discuss on that and evaluate its feasibility for automation. So for all those who want to evaluate and explore automation, uh we are just a call away, just an email away, right? So you can always reach out to us, on our website, on our email IDs, and we can schedule a call just to understand this technology better and how it can potentially help you. um yeah, another interesting question is, okay, what if these softwares that you use don't have API access? So we understand that, right? So most of the EMRs that you might be using today, and most of the systems that you might be using, won't allow you data access, right? So these are very thick in borders, and extracting data and integrating these softwares is difficult. And that is the challenge that we are trying to solve with these bots. So the beauty of these bots is they can interact with these softwares on front end. So when I say front end, what it means is, the way human interacts with the software. For example, if I want to extract census data from Point Click Care, what I do is I log into Point Click Care with certain username password, open up reports, open up census, and then download that census report. This is exactly how the bot behaves. The bot will actually have a username password. It will log into PCC. It will open up reports and download the census report, and then carry forward the data for the next steps and next processes. So the best way to imagine it is having a virtual workforce. You just have to tell these bots what to do, and then we will code them for you, and they will work on your systems, on your virtual machines with high security, and they'll take care of all the tasks that are necessary. Yeah, I think that's it. If anyone else has any thoughts, any questions, please feel free. Yeah, I think then we are covered. Thank you all for joining in today. This was a wonderful session, and thanks Jyoti, thanks Rich, and have a great day ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Attendees, thank you. We appreciate the questions. Have a great afternoon. Goodbye now.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.